is Everyday Commentary, and this is a video overview of these two knives. And these two knives are two different versions of the Northwoods knives Everyday Barlow. And these are really awesome knives. So this one over here is, as you can see, a spear point knife. And this one over here, as you can see, is a clip point knife. If you notice, when I was opening, they have a half stop. They have the typical Barlow shape with the extra long bolster and the rounded handle. I got two in blue camel bone because blue is my favorite color, and I did not really have any interest in the saw cut bone or the Cogobolo. They have brass liners. This particular knife is made by Queen for Northwoods knives, and you can tell, number one, because of the steel. These run CPM 154, which is a powder metallurgy version of 154 CM, which is a very good steel. And because of the way in which they're finished. They're not quite as nicely finished as, say, a GEC or a GEC produced Northwoods knife. But these were both were really quite good. There are a couple of little burrs or flicks here at the edge where the liners lined up. But I just basically took my highest grit stropping compound and just rubbed them down. And not only did it take off the burrs, but it actually kind of polished it up a little bit. So it was like a really easy thing to do. The knives themselves are quite beautiful. As you can see, the blue on the camel bone is really striking. So it's blue with these brass pins, and then it has the Northwoods Knives logo on the extra long bolster. These are French cuts. So really long, nice, easy to access nail pulls. The walk and talk is quite good. As you can see, the blades are very nice. This one was very, very nice. It's nicely finished. The edge was good all the way up. It has a true ricasso, so you can sharpen it all the way to the edge. The spear point was not quite as nice. There was a little place here where the edge wasn't quite finished, but I was able to take a strop and strop it out. So there's like no way you could tell where it was, but it was like right there. And I haven't decided which one of these I'm going to keep. I'm only going to keep one, and then the other one's going to go in the Wounded Warrior giveaway. But I really like the blue on this one. It's not quite as dark as the blue on this one, but the end, the spear point blade, not quite as nice in my opinion as the clip point in the pocket. Clip point just looks so good and kind of hides in the pocket. The other thing that I would note is that unlike the Tom's Choice Barlows, the clip point does not have like a really pronounced edge or tooth to it. This is actually quite smooth, and you can see they kind of rounded it over, and that just makes this an even more pocket-friendly knife. Really, really like these Barlows. Barlows are one of my favorite kinds of knives. So I have two Barlows to show you to compare. So the first is this Barlow from A.G. Russell, and this is a much cheaper knife. It's $100 less, and this runs 8CR13 MOV instead of a higher end powder metallurgy steel. But as you can see, you can open this with one hand. It has a lock. So in many senses, this is a modern knife that's hidden or disguised as a traditional knife. It has a lot of the same elements, the pins, the bolsters, a lot of this is the same. I would note that A.G. Russell figured out a way to do three pins. There's two pins and then the pivot pin. But here, Queen has 4 pins. I don't really mind so much, but the pins are not quite my favorite thing. I'd much rather it just be 1 or 2. This knife has a couple of things that would separate it. So let's see if I can get this to show up. It's a little bit bigger. The blade is a little bit bigger, and the blade is a little bit taller. The other thing is this does have Russell's sort of own take on a spear point. He calls it the Zulu spear, and as you can see, it's a different shape. I actually like this shape better than the classic spear point like seen on this knife. But this is not anywhere near the fit and finish that this is. It's not the same thing. Like, one of the things that drives me crazy about this knife, and it's the same in the first one I had, when you lock it out, you can always get like just maybe like, I don't know, barely noticeable amount of downward play, but then once you have done that, it sort of locks everything in and it's nice and tight. Blade centering on this one is really good. Blade centering on this one is just a tad off, and then the blade centering on this one is dead on. So overall, I think I probably prefer this knife to this knife. It's not that this knife is a bad knife, it's just I like this knife better. The other knife that I wanted to compare it to is this knife, and this is one of my favorite all-time knives, and this is the Indian River Jack. It is also from Northwood Knives. It also runs CPM 154, and it is also produced for Northwood Knives by Queen Cutlery. And let's see if we can. This has a more bulbous sort of spear shape to it, and you notice that there's a bit of a negative angle between the handle and the blade, but everything else is pretty much the same. Oh, and the nick is different. The handle shape is a little different. The handle shape on this one is sort of a cigar as opposed to a teardrop, and it's longer. It also has two bolsters, and then the shield is actually a shield. This one is in, I think it's just cow shin bone. It also has the brass liners. It's a little bit thinner than the Barlow. Overall, I think that I probably like the Barlow better, but I can't say that one is... I like one better, but I can't say one is superior to the other. I just like the Barlow shape better. One thing that I would note is that the exposed hang is much less exposed on the Indian River Jack. This is a really good knife. I mean, it's just a great knife. You can see. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Come on, come on. You can't even see it. And there's a place where the bolster has lifted up just a tad. And actually, I think it went away. Oh well. It went away. That's the thing that you have with natural materials. They move a lot. So comparing the Indian River Jack and the two Northwoods Knives Everyday Barlows, as well as the A.G. Russell Barlow. They're all different knives. I mean, these two are the same, but these three knives are all different. They all represent sort of different approaches to the idea of taking a traditional and making it a modern knife. You know, this one uses modern features like a lock and one-hand opening, and these two use modern steels. I think that simply because I'm a sucker for a Barlow, this is probably my favorite of all of these knives. So look for a written review of the Northwood Knives Everyday Barlow coming soon.